I'm here today with Penny Nance, the president of Concerned Women for America, and we want to introduce you to Penny directly, let you hear from her about the organization that she leads and what they're doing right now to affect change and save lives in our country. So first, Penny, can you just tell our audience a little bit more about CWA?
Well, Amanda, first, thank you all so much for coming to my office, and I love working alongside you. You all are doing such amazing work, you and Craig and the entire team. And I work, individually with many of the policy councils in different states. Victoria Cobb's a good friend because she's my sister here in Virginia, but many others. Concerned Women for America is the nation's largest public policy women's organization. We have about 500,000 members around this country. We're a legitimate grassroots women. In fact, we're advocates, and we've got the Dobbs case coming up. We are bringing in about 1,500 women that we're calling life writers. These are civil rights activists. This is the civil rights case of our time. But we work on other core issues. CWA has 7 core issues. Of course, we've already talked about life, the issue of marriage and family, the issue of local control of education, educational freedom, religious freedom, the issue of sex trafficking. We talk about sexual exploitation, national sovereignty, and then the last one is support for Israel.
So Penny, you just mentioned the Life Writers. Tell us more about that group of women, that campaign. I imagine this is something you've been working on for quite some time. We're here in Washington, D.C. just a couple days before the Dobbs case will be heard at the Supreme Court. So what's going to happen that day, and maybe more importantly, what's going to happen after?
So yes, December 1st is the oral arguments in front of the Supreme Court on the Dobbs versus Jackson, as in Jackson, Mississippi, Whole Women's Health, which is an abortion clinic. Arguing, and I think this is, as a woman, this means so much to me. Only God could have planned this. Arguing in front of the Supreme Court is this beautiful woman, the Attorney General of Mississippi. Her name is Lynn Fitch, a Christian woman. And so she's going to be standing on the floor of that court before 9 justices, 3 of whom, by the way, were appointed and confirmed under the Trump administration. That was something that Concerned Women for America was very active on. We were, I was running around the country on a bus that on the side of it said "Women for Amy," working to make sure that that senators were going to confirm her. I also we led and absolutely had to lead. It was absolutely essential on the confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh, and you remember all that went into that. And then, of course, we supported Neil Gorsuch. All of those things have been leading up to this moment. In fact, I believe that God's hand was at work in the 2016 election, leading up to this moment. Because if President Trump had not won, if instead Hillary Clinton had appointed justices, 3 justices, there would be no point in us having a rally. There'd be no point, because there's no way that we could possibly win on this case. And make no mistake, this is the case of our lifetime. If the Dobbs case is decided how I'm praying that it's decided, we will never talk about Roe v. Wade again. Roe v. Wade will be extraneous. It won't matter. The question before the court is very simple. It's whether or not that a state, like in this case Mississippi, can limit abortion pre-viability. Now remember, back during 1973, the justices had very incomplete or wrong information on fetal development. The science was not what it is today. They did not have sonograms widely available. They were very limited use. And the ones that they had were grainy and not nearly as good as we have now. Now, our children, my children, own their own sonogram pictures. They know what happens. We know, we have the data and the science now to know that we can detect a heartbeat 6 to 8 weeks in the womb. We know about fetal development. So in the case of Mississippi, even though 15 weeks is pre-viability, we know that this little baby girl has all of her major organs. She has brain waves. She has eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. She has hands and feet and fingers, and she can feel pain. It is a civil rights issue. But the question before the court is, in contradiction to Roe, whether or not an abortion can be limited in that second trimester case. It's a direct head-on conflict with what Roe said and what the Casey decision said afterwards. If we win, it doesn't immediately make abortion illegal all over the country. It throws it to the states, and then we'll have to work even harder to take on. But I'll take that argument. I think we can bring people to our side. But I would say, Amanda, it is really not just about a legal question, right? It's not a legal battle so much as it is a spiritual battle. And so I would just ask everyone that's watching this to pray. And after December 1st, that's when the hard work begins. The actual decision won't come out until the end of June. But much of it happens, the behind the scenes, the wrangling back and forth within the court, all the justices working together, the briefs being written happen, pretty quickly after the oral arguments. A lot is going on. So I would just really ask all your viewers, all your members, to be deeply in prayer, to take this information to their Sunday school classes, to their women's groups, to the parents groups, to your in your community, whatever that looks like, and asking for prayer, and for us to individually be on our knees before the Lord, because this is really how we win. Mm-hmm. We have to change hearts and minds, and then we have work to do on caring for these mothers and caring for the least of these. Mm-hmm. By the way, I should add that for all that information I just gave, and that was a lot, if anyone would like to come to concernedwomen.org, we have a whole place on our website that gives really sort of the detail and the data on the Dobbs case.
Penny, thank you so much for that reminder to pray, because as you said, this is first and foremost a spiritual battle. And as you said, now the work begins for those justices who are going to be debating amongst themselves and doing the work of digging into this case. We need to be on our knees in prayer for each and every one of them. As Penny mentioned, her website is concernedwomen.org. Please go there to learn more about Concerned Women for America. And if you'd like to know more about the After Roe campaign, for which they are a part, go to afterroe.com.